What's good? It's Woog. We have Luis Alberto Lopez, 28 wins and 2 losses, defending his IBF featherweight title against Joet Gonzalez, 26 wins and 3 losses. Luis Alberto Lopez is coming off a vicious 5th round knockout over Michael Conlan in Conlan's hometown of Belfast, Ireland. That was a vicious knockout. And Luis Alberto Lopez has really been surging lately. Like, if you look at his last 2 wins, they came against Josh Warrington, which earned him the IBF featherweight title. And he had beaten Warrington, by the way, in Warrington's hometown of Leeds, England. So he goes from beating Josh Warrington in Leeds, England to stopping Michael Conlan in Northern Ireland. So Luis Alberto Lopez went from being, a somewhat obscure, lesser known fighter to, at least according to Ring Magazine, being on top of the featherweight division. This is the division that includes Robeisy Ramirez, Ray Vargas, Mauricio Lara, Lee Wood. Speaking of which, Lee Wood is about to defend his WBA title against Josh Warrington. So it's kind of funny because Luis Alberto Lopez is almost kind of taking the spot of Emmanuel Navarrete in terms of being a super unorthodox fighter who's winning a title and defending it successfully in the featherweight division. Emmanuel Navarrete recently went up from 126 to 130. He's had 2 fights there. He stopped Liam Wilson, and then he recently beat up on Oscar Valdez. So, I had a little concern. It kind of still do, but less now. I had concern about how Navarrete's style was gonna transition into 130 because I thought that he would be giving up a lot of his physical advantages and stylistic advantages that he had at 122 and 126. But Luis Alberto Lopez is equally unorthodox, but for very different reasons. And here he's going to be fighting against Joet Gonzalez, who, I think that the public has kind of given up on Joet Gonzalez. Now, it's not like he's been losing a ton of fights. If you look at his losses, he's only lost to Shakur Stevenson in 2019. He lost a decision against Emmanuel Navarrete in 2021. And then his most recent loss was against Isaac Dogboe in a fight that really could have gone either way. That was in 2022. So it's not like he's losing to scrubs, although his one fight back since losing to Isaac Dogboe, he's had 1 fight since that. It was against Enrique Vivas, and Vivas almost won that fight. That was a very competitive fight for, Joet Gonzalez, who is a name in the game, fighting a much lesser known opponent in Enrique Vivas. That was, too close if you are trying to remain in the hunt and an elite fighter. But it seems like with Top Rank, Joet Gonzalez is always more or less a win away from another big opportunity. Like after he lost to Shakur Stevenson, he won 1 fight against Miguel Mariaga and then got the shot against Emmanuel Navarrete. After losing to Navarrete, he won 1 fight against João Santissima. And then after that, he got another good opportunity, not a title shot, but a good opportunity against Isaac Dogboe, because it was that win by Dogboe over Joet Gonzalez that got Dogboe to fight for that title against Robeisy Ramirez. So again, always 1 win away. And again, since losing to Dogboe, he beats Enrique Vivas, and here he is against Luis Alberto Lopez with another title opportunity. And what's really been holding Joet Gonzalez back is that he is, at least in his recent losses, has been a pretty slow starter. Now, his fight against Navarrete was just one of those blood and guts battles where both guys took a ton of punches, but how are you going to out punch or out volume Emmanuel Navarrete? Like, that's just a losing proposition. So Joet Gonzalez showed that he was very durable, and he went to 12 round distance, but he wasn't going to beat Emmanuel Navarrete on the scorecards. And then in that loss against Isaac Dogboe, Joet Gonzalez really started putting a beating on Dogboe, made it a super difficult fight, which, for Isaac Dogboe, I feel like every fight, even the ones that he wins, are always very tough, difficult fights, grueling fights. Well, his fight against Joet Gonzalez ended up being one of those as well, because even though Isaac Dogboe won probably the first 2 to 3 rounds, Joet Gonzalez really came on strong in the middle and later portions of the fight where, again, going into the scorecards, it was anybody's guess who was going to win that fight. But Isaac Dogboe was awarded the split decision win there. And that, again, has been a running theme recently for Joet Gonzalez. Even in that win against Enrique Vivas, Joet Gonzalez gave up 3 of the first 4 rounds, slow starter. Well, again, I think that the public has given up on Joet Gonzalez, and you could look no further than these betting odds. Again, keep in mind, Luis Alberto Lopez was a virtually unknown like 2 years ago. I mean, his claim to fame at that time were beating Isaac Lowe, and just before that, kind of derailing the Gabriel Flores or Gabe Flores hype train. Remember Gabe Flores, they were kind of boosting him on some of those top ranked cards. It was Luis Alberto Lopez who first put an end to that, or at least gave Gabe Flores a major setback. That was Luis Alberto Lopez. So if you look at the betting odds for Lopez versus Joet Gonzalez, Joet Gonzalez is like a 5-1 underdog here. I've seen Luis Alberto Lopez as like high as a -900, but in most books you'll see him at like as a 6-1 favorite, like a -600. So that tells you that the public doesn't really like Joet Gonzalez's chances at upsetting the champ here, Luis Alberto Lopez. And again, if this fight were to have taken place 2 years ago, Joet Gonzalez would have probably been the favorite. So that's how quickly things change. But, you know, when you have two performances back to back like Lopez did against Warrington and Michael Conlan, you get what you get. But as I'm sizing up Luis Alberto Lopez versus Joet Gonzalez, you know, it's not like Luis Alberto Lopez is not a beatable fighter. I mean, he lost to Ruben Villa in 2019 via unanimous decision. That's the same Ruben Villa who, you know, got beaten by Emmanuel Navarrete. And, you know, that fight between Lopez and Josh Warrington, that was a pretty close fight. It was a majority decision win. I think that most thought that Josh Warrington was going to get love on the scorecards, not because they thought that he won the fight. It was another one of those fights that Josh Warrington just, you know, is involved in a lot of head clashes and opens cuts on his opponent's eyes. But I think that they thought that he was going to get that decision because they were fighting in Leeds, England. So, you know, just watching the fight, I was surprised that it was Luis Alberto Lopez. Even if I thought that he edged the fight, I was surprised that he got that decision in Leeds. But as I said, what makes this thing interesting and what makes Luis Alberto Lopez interesting is that he is so unorthodox in the way that he throws his punches. And I actually think he's an underrated defensive fighter. Like, you might not look at him as being super slick or defensive, but he does have an effective high guard, and he's such a good counterpuncher that opponents are almost a little reluctant to start opening up on him because of how quick he returns the favor. And when he returns the favor, he's throwing from angles that, again, are about as unusual as Emmanuel Navarrete's. It's just that Luis Alberto Lopez is significantly shorter. Like, he's like 5'4" rather than like 5'7", 5'8". So, you know, Joet Gonzalez, before his fight with the very short Isaac Dogbe, Joet Gonzalez remarked and said that shorter fighters are difficult for him to fight because you have to like kind of punch downward at them and they're tougher to touch. Well, if you don't like fighting short fighters, you're going to have a hell of a time with a guy like Luis Alberto Lopez because, you know, the best way I can describe the way that this guy punches is if you're wearing like a long sleeve sweater and then you put your arms into the sleeves, so the sleeves are just kind of hanging with no arms in them, and then you start throwing them like that, and then you start just whipping them around from different angles where the punches are coming like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. It's kind of like the wacky wavy inflatable 2 man. If you guys are Family Guy fans, that's that inflatable thing that you'll see outside of like car dealerships or something where the thing's got the arms that are just like that. So Luis Alberto Lopez, he'll like lead with a backhand uppercut and then throw like a left on top of that. Or he'll throw like what appears to be 2 punches at like damn near the same time. Like the first punch hasn't even fully flushly landed yet and he's already coming with the one behind it. Or he'll mix up like a wide scooping hook with his left hand followed by a right uppercut, or a scooping left hook followed by an overhand right, or a left uppercut followed by an overhand right. Like, there is no predictability in Luis Alberto Lopez's punch patterns nor his punch timing. Like, he'll do something where he just let like 3 or 4 punches go, so you think he's about to take a beat and just chill out for like a moment, maybe circle, maybe cover up, maybe take a step back. But then right when you think that he's about to take a breath and like, okay, the guy just let go 4 punches, he might just lunge in and throw like a totally wide scooping left hand. And again, he might put anything on top of that. It's really something to behold. Like, I get a kick out of watching this guy, and his feints are very unusual too. Like, he'll feint by level changing. So he'll dip, and again, he's already short. So he'll dip down, but then he'll start walking at you as he's got that crouch. So he'll feint, like he'll demonstratively feint like that to get you to react, and then take like a couple quick steps on some crouching tiger, hidden dragon. Like, he'll take a couple steps while crouching low and then throw 2 punches. Or he'll show you the hand that he's about to throw, and he'll feint with it, and then he'll kind of walk and watch you kind of hold and cover up, and he'll walk you down with showing you that hand, and then throw the other hand, and then throw that hand. Like, he's got all kinds of things that will kind of throw your rhythm off. And when he's throwing these punches, these aren't like punches that are meant to score points. These are home runs that he's throwing. Like, if you look at the punch that flattened Michael Conlan, this was like an uppercut, but it was a second uppercut in a combination. He threw like 4 punches in the combination. So he threw like I think like an overhand left, a right uppercut, threw a scooping left, and then another right uppercut. And Michael Conlan, trying to get out of the way, just happened to dip right into that low. It was a half uppercut, but it was almost like a scooping right hook, or, you know, the type of punch that Canelo hit Billy Joe Saunders with. When Saunders dipped to that side, Canelo threw the punch and landed it cleanly. That messed up his orbital, messed up his eye. It was something similar to that. But again, that's just like one out of like a dozen different types of punches that the guy throws, and he'll throw them in any permutation or combination of those punches in that variety. And again, the timing is really weird. He'll do like a foot feint and kind of get you to hesitate, and then watch his hesitation, and then he'll throw with the hand that you didn't think he was going to throw with. And sometimes he'll throw totally ill-advised punches where his chin is way out there, and he's almost jumping towards you while he's throwing a wide shot. And again, he'll follow it up with anything. So you can't really reliably time those power punches with a counter, because you might just walk into the second punch like Michael Conlan did. You might walk into what he's following that lead, that wild lead, up with. Like, you got to check this guy out. Like, he's throwing, sometimes he'll even lean his body over while he's throwing a scooping punch, or he'll dip to one side and then lunge at you with that same hand that you're leaning towards. So you lean to the left, and then you jump in and throw a scooping left hand shot, and he's landing these punches. Like, look at what he's landing against Josh Warrington. Look at what he was landing against Isaac Lowe and against Gabriel Flores. This guy's an effective puncher. It's just a style that no trainer would teach their pupils to abide by. Like, this is not by the book stuff, but it's effective. And although Luis Alberto Lopez, again, 5'4", sure, he's giving up 2 inches in height, giving up 4 inches in reach. We're talking 66.5-inch reach for Lopez to a 70-inch reach for Joet Gonzalez. But even though he's only got 66.5-inch reach, his arms seem a lot longer because of the types of punches that he's throwing and landing. And again, I think that he's got underrated defense, and he's got underrated feet. Like, you need to be able to travel well footwork wise for this type of stuff to work, but it works for him. And, you know, Joet Gonzalez is a little bit more he's a lot more just fundamental in terms of being by the basics. Conventional stance, kind of has a high guard sometimes, which, I mean, if he throws up a high guard and he's as patient as he is in the opening rounds, like he was against Isaac Dogbe or Enrique Vivas, like if he's going to start this fight slow, I expect Luis Alberto Lopez to win the first few rounds and to probably just continuously back Joet Gonzalez up. Here's the question. If Lopez can't finish Joet Gonzalez, and nobody has stopped Joet Gonzalez, he's proven to be pretty durable. If Lopez can't drop or stop Joet Gonzalez, can Gonzalez, through his fundamentals, through his combination puncher, as he starts to slowly cook over time and starts to increase the pressure and starts to increase the punch output, can he get back into the fight to where it's competitive by the middle rounds? Because a slow start, it'll damn you in a 10-round fight. But this is a 12-round fight, so you could conceivably give up a couple of rounds and then get back into the fight. Again, 10-round fights are much more unforgiving when it comes to slow starts. So I wonder if Joet Gonzalez will be able to take Luis Alberto Lopez's heat. I suspect that he will, but I don't see him doing enough to outland. He's definitely not going to be outpowering Luis Alberto Lopez. He's not faster than Lopez. That's another thing. I think that Lopez has underrated defense, underrated feet, and underrated hand speed. Again, just watch his latest fight against Michael Conlan, who was trying to level change, as Michael Conlan often does, switches levels, bends at the knees to throw that looping left-hand shot high. Conlan was looking to do that, and he did somewhat land effectively, but Luis Alberto Lopez was just making him pay. Like, he's like, you throw that? Well, how about this and this and this? And he'll do it right in the moment. So as soon as Conlan starts to open up, Luis Alberto Lopez, like a millisecond later, is throwing 3 to 4 punches in return from, again, all kinds of crazy angles and rhythms. I don't think that Joet Gonzalez is going to be able to keep up with this. I think that Luis Alberto Lopez's style is going to kind of put Joet Gonzalez into a shell. So I think that it's going to take him a while to get going. And if he does get going, I still don't think it's going to be enough. But I think he's going to be defensive enough and back foot enough. Like, I don't think he's going to be coming forward like he was against Isaac Dogboe. This is a different dynamic. Dogboe was looking to kind of slow the tempo of the fight down and move around the perimeter of the ring and then look for opportunities to explode with combinations, effective, fast combinations. Luis Alberto Lopez likes to come at you and then keep coming at you. So I think that he's got enough heat to put Joet Gonzalez on his back foot, kind of like Emmanuel Navarrete did. It's gonna be a lot for Joet Gonzalez to kind of get into a rhythm, but I think that he's gonna have better success in the middle to late rounds than he will early in this fight. And I think that he will still be durable enough to go the 12-round distance. I'm expecting Luis Alberto Lopez to win a decision, but a unanimous decision. I don't think this is going to be like a, who won this fight going into the scorecards. I think that Joet Gonzalez is going to take a lot of punishment. I think his face is going to look pretty marked up after this fight. I think he will have some competitive moments. I wouldn't be surprised if Luis Alberto Lopez scores a knockdown, not a knockout. I don't think he's going to stop Joet Gonzalez, but I think that he might knock him down because, Joet Gonzalez might go into a shell, expect punches to be coming around the guard, but then Luis Alberto Lopez, I expect to be able to split Joet Gonzalez's guard with uppercuts, with those lunging lefts that come from low. Like, Luis Lopez throws from the waist, throws from the hips with a lot of his punches. So I think that these will be landing. I don't think that Joet Gonzalez is going to be doing too much hunting here. He doesn't have to go try to find Luis Lopez. Instead, I think he's going to be like, well, damn. And then I think he's going to be defensive. I think he's going to be trying to pick his spots, and he might start to get aggressive again in the middle and late rounds. I just don't think it's going to be enough. So I'm taking Luis Alberto Lopez to successfully defend his IBF featherweight title with a unanimous decision win over Joet Gonzalez. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on this fight, Luis Alberto Lopez and Joet Gonzalez. And also, since we're talking featherweights, Lee Wood versus Josh Warrington, this is going to be a big payday for Lee Wood. I'm happy for him. Josh Warrington, I don't see as being a top 5 featherweight anymore, but I just wish that in this division, like in a lot of divisions, we could get some of the cross-promotional fights that we would love to see. I mean, I would really love it if Emmanuel Navarrete was still at 126. But Ray Vargas is on PBC. He recently tried to go up and he lost to Oshaki Foster. So Vargas, I'm assuming, is coming back down to defend his WBC title, or some sort of a WBC consolidation fight between maybe Ray Vargas and another PBC fighter in Brandon Figueroa, who just beat Mark Magsayo. So Ray Vargas versus Brandon Figueroa, I'm assuming, might go down. I'm just kind of speculating here. But I would love to see like Luis Alberto Lopez versus Lee Wood, or against Robeisy Ramirez, even though Lopez said that he's got no real interest in fighting Robeisy Ramirez because he said Robeisy Ramirez is not a draw. Luis Alberto Lopez wants to fight Naoya the Monster Inoue. He wants Inoue to come up to 126 and fight him, challenge for Lopez's IBF title there. So you could tell where Luis Lopez has his sights. He wants to start getting some I've already paid my dues, now I'm ready for some big money type of fights. That's where he's angling right now. But, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Mauricio Lara after he missed weight before losing that decision to Lee Wood. So is he going to stay at 126? Is he going to go up to 130? Mark Magsayo is still, more or less in the mix. Same thing with Josh Warrington, who's got, another title shot against Lee Wood. But, I would like to see some of these cross-promotional efforts so we could get some very interesting fights at featherweight. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Luis Alberto Lopez versus Joet Gonzalez. Does Joet Gonzalez have a real chance here, or are you kind of checked out on Joet Gonzalez in terms of his chances of winning the big one, basically winning a title fight against an elite or near elite fighter? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.